Citation, Red Cross SRAO, Supplemental Recreational Activities Overseas.
Don't want the lights
The
out.
Donut Dollies, 1969 to 1970.
I guess it stays this way.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
We had 3 speakers, but one was not able to come. Sandi Rhoten is from Whittier, California, now Dunedin, Florida. She retired from the state of California after working in both the Department of Corrections and the Department of Rehabilitation. Sandi.
Joan.
No, that was Joan.
Actually, Joan.
Joan Larsen.
This has got me thrown off. Sorry, y'all. This has messed me up. Joan Larsen. Joan made many attempts to get here, but as many of you may know, the airlines are not cooperating very much all the time. Her flights were canceled. She was sent back to check in. Another flight canceled. So we were missing her today. But Sandi, if you see this video, we miss you.
Joan.
Why do I keep...
I'm important.
Well, this has got me thrown up. All right. Anyway,
You're
I'm not gonna
you're fine.
apologize
You're
for
fine.
These things happening. Okay. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay. Sandi Rhoten, Sandi, from Carlisle, Iowa, graduated from Nebraska Wesleyan University and received her MA in Education at the University of Texas, Austin. She served in student affairs positions at the University of Southern California, University of Texas at Austin, University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and Cal State University, Fullerton. She also worked for the Army in Germany, Camp Fire Organization in Chicago, and a learning center in Taos, New Mexico. She has quite a resume. Mary Ellen Buren Clark is from Hopewell, Virginia. Graduated from Madison College, now known as JMU, with a BS in Health, Physical Education, and Indiana University with a Master's in Education. The first teaching position was Ferguson High School in Newport News, Virginia, followed by 3 years of teaching coaching at Hopewell High School, 2 years of teaching coaching at Temple University, then a year with the Red Cross SRAO in Vietnam. This was followed by teaching English as a second language at the Community College in Spokane, Washington, then teaching in a drug alcohol program in Northern California. These 3 ladies are very well versed in what they know and what they have done. And again, Joan Larsen, we are missing you, but I welcome Sandi and Mary Ellen.
Thank you.
All right, so put this back.
Perhaps, yeah. So I'm going to take you back to the 60s for a minute, okay? Everybody remember the 60s? Very tumultuous time. Lots of things going on during that period. Lots of good things, walking on the moon. We had some assassinations. We had a lot of marches around fair rights for people. But we also had anti-war movement, right? Vietnam was a big part of the 60s. Everybody knew about it. You saw it every night on TV played out. Or you were there, or you had a friend that was there. But everybody that served in Vietnam shared some of the same realities, right? We were in a war zone, we were in a different country. But every single person had a unique experience. And that is because of several variables. 1, when were they there? 2, what were they doing? 3, where were they in country? What were they? Hello. Now I've forgotten how many, okay, who's in charge here? Do you remember what I said already? Okay, I'm up to 4. Okay, I see that now. 5, who were they with? Okay, in terms of their commanding officer and part of the guys.
And just whenever she needs.
Well, this is the second slide. That's okay if it comes up from here. They missed the slide.
Okay.
But that's okay. The slide I'm talking about, they missed. 5. So you get the picture, okay? Whatever your experience was in Vietnam, it was your experience. Because you cannot talk to everybody and get the same response because it was different for every person.
Tell me when to switch it.
Okay, now, are you switching for me? Great, okay, good, then I can walk. I like to walk. So here we are. So I want to talk about Donut Dollies from the beginning. Now remember, in World War I, the Salvation Army was there with some women that were doing donuts, okay? But the first time Donut Dollies from the American Red Cross were there was during World War II. Now these were amazing women because they converted some 2 tons, 10 tons, half ton, some tons truck into what we called was a club service area, which was where we got the name Clubmobile. So they were making donuts. They had donut machines. This is where the Donut Dollies come from. They made thousands and thousands and thousands of donuts. They had coffee. They had lots of things for guys to come in. And this is the beginning of talking to the guys to give them a sense of being back home. Are you with me? So this is the foundation of the Donut Dollies that came after them. Because the whole idea was women going into a war zone and being there for the guys. Okay, let's go. Oh, and it was our first, yes. It's working. Okay, then we were there in Korea. Now, as you see, we were there in Korea after the war was over. We were there for 20 years. It wasn't an active combat zone, but there was still a lot of things going on. Remember the Pueblo incident? There are lots of things going on with North Korea. Now, 899 women went there. And they, again, made donuts. Now, our official name was SRAO, Supplemental Recreation Activities Overseas. But the guys called us Donut Dollies. Now, the official Red Cross folks didn't like that because they thought it trivialized our work, but we knew it was an endearment. Oops, that they were calling us that. Now, this group is really the foundation of what the programs were like that we took out in the field in Vietnam because they started this. Okay, are you with me? Okay, so now let's get to Vietnam, but I want to talk to you about the other women that were there before we talk about Red Cross. There were 11,000 American military women that were there. And 90% of them were nurses. They did lots of different jobs because this was non-combatant. Remember, they didn't get to go into combat until 2013. So the women that were there were in non-combatant roles. And I have my hat off, and you all do too, to the nurses that were there in Vietnam. They did a terrific job. They were the youngest nurses to ever serve in a war zone. Many of them had only been in the service about 6 months, didn't have a lot of experience, and they were dealing with extraordinary injuries. 8 of them are on the wall, and all of them are nurses. There were also other civilians there besides the American Red Cross, Donut Dollies. There were American Red Cross folks doing lots of things like communicating back between the soldiers and back home because people had emergencies. Whoa, did I say something? Okay. I'm going to keep going. Just don't touch each other. Okay, so, but the American Red Cross was there. The Army Special Services was there. And there were a lot of missionaries. There were a lot of journalists. We don't know the exact number of women because every organization was just keeping their own status. But we know that at least 59 of these civilians were killed and 4 were taken as POWs. So I want you to know there were women. There's always been women around war. So let's get to the Donut Dollies. Okay. The Vietnam War went from 65 to either 73 when the conflict ended, when we withdrew the troops, or 75 when Saigon fell. Okay, depends on, because there was still military there. As you all know, 3,500 Marines landed in Da Nang on March 1967, and we came 2 months later. All right, the military asked us to come. And we had units all the way from the north. If you can see, I'm going to show you a map later. All the way from the north, very close to the DMZ, all the way down by Saigon. We had units there, various units at different times, because we would grow a unit and then we would close a unit. Oh, let me see. I'll go back. Thanks. You don't know how to go back? Oh, man. Where do you get this help? Okay, I was going to show. Did you see the picture? Did you recognize anybody in that picture? Yeah. Me, all right, thank you. That's really important. So I'm in the dark now, so you can't really tell it was me.
I'll get you back.
Oh, he's going to get us back. There, okay.
Too far?
No, you had it, honey. Okay, actually this is at Tuiwa. We look good, don't we? Okay. That's what 50 or 60 years or so do for you, right? Okay, now next.
Now I can do it.
Sorry. Okay. No, you went too far. The help. Okay, how did we get there? This is the important thing. How did we get there? So there's a brochure, I think, up there that said, for the best year of your life. And I can tell you it was one of the most important years of my life because I grew up a lot. I found out I could do a lot. And the service is intrinsic to who we were. This was definitely a service to others job. It was an adventure. There was a lot of things for us, but we were there for the guys. Okay, so we had to be college graduates. Now remember, lots of the guys that we were seeing were like 17, 18, 19. We were the big sisters. We really were, kind of. But you know what I mean? But they saw us, we loved them, by the way, but they were lots of young people there. We had to be college graduate. We gave a year. Just like the guys were there 365 days, we were there 365 days. And I want to tell you, at that age, you've never just lived 365 days. You lived a semester, then you had Christmas off, you had a summer. We were there for a whole year, okay? Don't forget about the salary because it was nothing. It was nothing. Okay, but we were doing, the mission was do the impossible, bring a touch of home, be the girl next door. So that's who we were. Now we went to interviews, just a second. Okay. You can never tell what I'm going to go to. So when we did our interview, here's really what they wanted: the all-American girl. Do we look like the all-American girl? Blonde. And somebody not looking for a husband, although some of us got one. And then they had this line that I think is so great. It's a job that requires some decisions within a difficult situation. Duh. We're in Vietnam, right? We're in Vietnam. But I would say one of the things that I would have added is, if you can't take a joke, don't become a donut dolly. Because guys love to tease each other. They love to tease us. And wait till you see who I am. You can tell why they would tease me. Look at the next one. Who am I? A farm girl from Carlisle, Iowa. Okay? These guys from New York were like, I was from a different planet. They just didn't understand this. But this is who I was. I grew up in a town of 1,000, okay? I was a big cheese in my graduating class of 49. I was the second child of 4, and my parents both served in the military, my mother in the Waves and my dad in the Navy during World War II. So that's who I was. I went to a big university that had 2,000 people in it, Nebraska Wesleyan University, where I was, this will shock you, a theater speech education major. So then I was teaching speech and theater when my theater professor, I was getting ready to, what am I going to do next? And he gave me this recruitment brochure, and that's how I got there. Why did I go? I was a big believer in what Kennedy said. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And that's part of it. But of course it was an adventure. It was part of it. But what I can tell you is, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, we were so naive, we had really no idea what it was going to be like. I don't think you can before you go. Okay, next. So we went to training in DC for 10 days. They gave us this list of about 1,000 things that we were supposed to take for a year in oh man. So anyway, we learned the history, military. We did some action. We got together in groups and then we developed programs like we were going to use. We needed to get everything ready we could do everything when we got there. We got our shots, we got dog tags. Now let me tell you, this was a sobering moment when we got our dog tags. Why? Why do you have a dog tag? So that was one moment for me, at least, that I thought, whoa, you know what I mean? This is real. This is real. So we're in our Class A's. Only time we wore them for this picture was the Class A's. Okay. All right, so the next one, please, Mary Ellen.
Yep.
Then we went to Saigon. Now here's, I don't know, guys, remember when you landed in Vietnam and got off that plane? Wow. It was reality. This was not the United States. This was not what you were used to. It was a different world. It was a world of war with lots of men and guns. And for us, it was also a world of men. Lots and lots of men, okay? In 1968, there were 545,000 of you there. We were never more than 100 or so in country at one time. Okay, so we did all of this, and then we got assigned to units. Now, one unit was center and clubmobile, which means you had a center like a recreation center, but you took programs out into the field where the fire bases were, or you were in smaller units out in the field, and you only did clubmobile. You did not have a center. And I was disappointed because I got all center clubmobile, because clubmobile seemed to be where the war was. Are you with me? See what I'm saying? But it's just the luck of the draw, and what I learned was I was there for every man, because even if the ones that weren't out there on the fire bases, they were away from home, they were 17 years old, they were scared, they were lonely, they needed us wherever they were, okay? And so here's where, okay, now this is a test. Mary Ellen, you're gonna stand up and do this for me. Okay, so I wanna just show you where we were. Okay, Mary Ellen, start down here in Cameron.
Where are we in Cameron?
Right there with the blue, right, yep. So Mary Ellen was at Army, I was at Air Force. I was there my second unit, she was there the first. Red Cross always took us to 2 units at least. They didn't want us to get romantically involved with married men. Okay, there are a lot of them out there, and they don't always tell you that they're married. I don't know if you know that. It just happens that way. So then keep going up. Then you're going to go up to Tuiwa. That's on the sea. I'm on the coast. That's where my first one. Then up to Quin Yon, where we all were stationed. Our last one. Then going inward to the Pleiku. Yep. That was Joan's first site. Then going further up to Chu Lai, go up on the water side.
Climb up in the chair.
Well, go. Do you see Chu Lai?
There's Chu Lai right
Okay, you see Chu Lai? Okay, good. Okay. So that's where we all were. So go ahead.
Good.
Oh, I'm just telling you this as a preview to what you're going to learn about what we were doing. These are some moments. Okay, we worked, we were up, we were bubbly every minute of the day, okay? We could never be down. But some moments for me was laughing, joking, being there for the guys. That's what we did. These are the enlisted men. Developing, presenting programs that worked, okay? Because some of them bombed, okay? This is a New Fathers program. Can you imagine being 18 years old, your high school sweetheart has a baby back home, and you hear about it in Vietnam. So we would put on parties for them and try to, it was really hard for them. Riding my bike from the guys. The guys bought me a bike, got me a bike in Tuiwa, which I rode around, and then I took with me when I flew to Cameron. I don't know how I got it there, C-130, I suppose? Yeah, okay. A 3-hour haircut by Marco with an audience. Okay, I had bangs. Oh, I'll cut them for you. This is a barber from New York City. Are you kidding me? He had me sit in this chair for 3 hours, and all the guys were around me watching me getting this haircut. It was like, that was the program. That was the program. Comforting. You cannot believe how many Dear John letters people got. But just think about it. You're young, you have your high school sweetheart, she finds somebody else. So there were a lot of heartbreaks that we spent time with. And then obviously grieving a young life. We'll go forward. But we were surrounded by men, but we loved our sisters. Okay, they became really, really important parts of our lives because you walk out the door in Vietnam as a woman, men were all over. I mean, not physically, but they wanted to talk to you. You never were away from guys when you were out. So we loved it when we were with ourselves also, maybe once or twice, an hour a day or something, and these are people that we've kept as friends for many, many years. Now, Mary Allen's going to start and help you understand the physical stuff about what did it mean to be in the centers, what did it mean to do Clubmobile.
The spring of 1969, that was my second year teaching at Temple University in Philadelphia. And I couldn't get to my desk at all until I passed the desk to Charlotte Lee, who had served in Korea.
Okay.
Hold it up.
And so she had served in Korea, and I heard on 3 or 4 times a week that maybe I should go and interview with Red Cross. This went on in the spring of '69. So the result of that was in September of '69, I began orientation in Washington, D.C. for the Red Cross, thanks to Charlotte Lee and her suggestions. My first assignment was a center operation with the Army, Cameron Bay, 22nd Replacement Battalion, which as a unit director. I went in as a unit director, and this was a gateway for many, many people processing in country and leaving country. So they also had a 12th Tactical Hospital in Cameron, which we visited. There were 9 in our unit, and the housing was in single-wide trailers, 3 of them. And we were out about a mile, and although we were assigned a driver for transit to and from the airfields and the center, especially at night, most often we walked the mile. And if a vehicle of any kind came by and had a seat, they would offer a ride. So we were in and out of some strange vehicles sometimes. And Cameron was on the coast, and so all you saw underfoot was sand. And it was lovely. However, during monsoon season, it was blowing everywhere. So that was very memorable. And you want to switch that? Okay. So this is the center operation, and we opened it at 10 in the morning and closed at 10 at night. And with the exception of a Friday staff meeting. And each unit also had a program director. And she helped make arrangements with Clubmobile visits. Also, she assisted with monthly planning for the center. And we had a huge planning calendar in each center with all sorts of activities, including tournaments, demonstrations, contests, college bowls, fudge night, roasted marshmallows, and special holiday programs. The facility offered ping pong, pool, shuffleboard, darts. We had a music room as well. And our goals were simply to provide a safe and a relaxing space for the permanent staff at Cameron, as well as all the others that were processing in and out.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, of course, sorry. Can you hear me? I was just going to say, so you kind of understand that we had 2 kinds of relationships, right? We had the regulars that came in, and you really got close to them because it was just like you here, you get to know each other. Then we would fly out to fire bases. Those were guys that we had to instantly bond with because we were only with them for a short period of time. And then the other thing is, if we would go back, sometimes we didn't try to get too close to those guys because we could go back on, if we did, John was so great, where's John? Should never ask that. I learned that the first time I was out there because John's no longer there. Are you with me? Yep. So you have to, but you can see where we are. We have different kinds of men, young boys that we are dealing with, but we had different relationships with them because of where they were. Yeah. Sorry, Mary Ellen.
No, go ahead and switch it over because we're talking about special programs here and well, we've done that one, so we need to...
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Can't get good
Yeah,
help.
Special programs were the hospital programs, the orphanages that were nearby. We visited all the holidays, and especially Christmas. If you bring up the next one, Sandy, there is a plane that we flew out in, and people back here were making, for the Red Cross, ditty bags. These were a drawstring bag that is over on we have it on the table. It had basic essentials: toothbrush, toothpaste, a razor, things that the guys could use in the field, especially. And so we took them out, and this was a time, and I think we dropped them in some areas. We had to drop them, but we would take them in and give them out. So those were delivered. And as they delivered supplies as well to the people stationed. Yeah. And our staff meetings, as a unit director, the staff meetings my duties were coordinating with the military for all of our schedules, for all the club mobile visits, and also transportation. Were we flying by chopper to this unit out here, or how we were going, either by, vehicle, chopper, and also I had to coordinate with Red Cross headquarters, filling out the usual forms, monthly forms, and that sort of thing in Saigon. Ordering supplies for the center, the program development, and all of us were on a rotation to create a program. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that if we have time for that. There are samples of the programs we created, and we had to create them, I don't know, about every 6 weeks or something. Yeah, in addition to other things we were doing.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
See,
Yeah, go ahead.
hi. So remember, well, maybe each unit could have 4 to 9 women in it. Okay, some of the smaller ones only had 4 or 5. And again, it depended on what was, 1968 was the biggest year. That was the height. And then it came down after that, the number of men that were in. So we closed bases and that sort of thing. So anytime we were in the center, there were at least 2 of us. And every time we went out to a clubmobile run, there were at least 2 of us. So women didn't go out by themselves. So that's what happened. So what you were doing is, in the unit, you didn't know what, every week would be different. You wouldn't go to the same base every time, but you could circle around back to that same clubmobile base. So we were always doing, the program person was always doing scheduling, because you're trying to put 2 different women together, maybe not 2 people from Iowa, because the way you started your show is you say, "Hi, I'm Sandy, and I'm from Iowa." Nothing. "I'm Sandy, I'm from Carlisle." Yay! No. "I'm Sandy, I'm from Iowa, and I've been in country 3 days." What do you think they said? Effin' new person, right? FNB. No, not B. P. Anyway.
It wasn't nice.
It wasn't nice, yes.
Right. So let me talk a minute about the programs we did create. We are samples, and they're original samples that have traveled around with my various moves. They are on the table. But they had to include, of course, the title, the unit, and the introduction, and all the resources we used had to be listed, and the people that helped with that program, the activities, and also how they were to be presented. And the props, all the props you made for anything that you created had to be very durable. And once they were finished, some of the titles, the colorful world of art, literary know-how, inventions, and what could you guess? Sports. And I had headquarters calling me toward the end of my tour saying, "Are you creating another sports program?" Yes, I was. So the programs were set up in the center once we finished them. They had a kind of a dry run in the center, and we made changes that were necessary depending upon how everybody reacted in the center to this or that, or they understood it. And so once they were evaluated pretty thoroughly, all of those programs went out to all the other units. And you saw them earlier with the helicopter in the background and 2 women carrying a large prop bag, and that was a program.
May I just say, so what you got to take you there. So I don't know, but 19-year-olds are very competitive. Okay, I don't know if you know that. So when we would go, I think I can't hear you.
Go ahead.
So what would happen is this one on? So let's say it's sports. So we might put this, okay, this is a group, this is a group, and this is a group. So they're competing against each other. And there might be some people in the back that don't want to play, but they're watching. So then you give each of them all these cards that have different nicknames of baseball teams and New York and then whatever. And so then each team has to put them together, and who gets up here first. And they played their games like we were giving them $1 million. Because this was their diversion, folks. Can you imagine? So they're all into it. So we did quizzes. They might do stuff on boards. They had to run up and do things. We had them doing crazy things. We might have a peanut race where you have to. You'd love to do this one. Get on your hands and knees and push the peanut and see who wins. They would do everything for us. We did silly things. We did great things. But it was competitive around a theme.
Okay, let's shift to the Clubmobile, and Joan had a different experience. I'm sorry she could not get here, but she was stationed in Pleiku, very small, Central Highlands, then Chulai, and finally Quignon. At Pleiku, there were only 5 of the SRAO people there, and they shared one house using the largest room for an office. And she describes, as we talked to her before this program, she said it was very dusty walking and carrying that program out to catch helicopters. And of course the choppers never shut down, so we all had to scramble quickly on and off. So they continued. And during monsoon season, it was very challenging. So the other thing, too, was that there were no materials out there in the smaller units, remote areas, for them to create programs, so they were sent out. Her second assignment was at a larger base, Chulai, and they had a general there on the base, so it was much larger, more activity. And they did live in trailers. They visited many surrounding fire bases. They flew out to those in the area. And there were Joan twice in her year's time went out to a base and she could not get back. So she had to stay until the next day when it was safe to come back. That happened twice. So did you want to?
Oh, I'm just. Well, what we're talking, but women, think about this. Oh, crap. sorry. No crap. So women, we're in our uniforms. We have the big bag, and we have nothing else. Okay, to stay overnight. So usually we could take a purse, but I took a Claymore bag. Does everybody know what a Claymore bag is? It's a mine bag. So you put in your toothbrush, you put in whatever else you might need, ladies, in case you get stuck overnight. You sleep in your uniform. You take somebody's bed, like an officer. They love that. They weren't in there, but at least most of us. But we had at Tuiwa, we did have an organized overnight because we flew out so far. It would be easier to do the next day. So we did 2 days in a row of Clubmobiles. But one thing that I usually say at the beginning is when I think back, and you've probably happened to you on other occasions too, how we adjusted to a different normal. you just adapt, right? I mean, we had to do things that we wouldn't have done back home, but it was what you did. And I think part of it is youth. It's easier. Don't get me to do this today. But I think it was part of what makes it work is that we have resilience when we're young, and we can make the changes in our life that match, if we can. It doesn't help, it's not 100%, but we did do those sorts of things.
Yeah. And as Joan, as you can see, and the next slide, I guess. The next
Did you
one.
talk about transportation?
Yes, transportation, we talked about that. Yep. And when we arrived at the smaller bases, whatever was happening, if something tragic had happened, you could sense that there was no program. We just visited. That's all we did. On the other hand, we may have arrived during a meal. We would help with serving, help with filling sandbags at one point. All of those things were done. So Joan's year was July to July. Sandi and I were September to September. And I will wrap this up saying it was the most amazing year as we reflect on friendships and the many, many memories we have. So Sandi?
Wow. Okay, we didn't get all the slides up here. What I want you to understand is that the military took us out to these clubmobiles, okay? They'd have to go out and do mine sweeping before the trucks could go down the roads. We would fly out in helicopters. We would go in trucks, whatever it took to get out there. But the military, they were in charge. And in some of our places, so every day, whoever the program director was, but it depends on where they were, they would check to see, is it okay to go out to that base, right? You're in contact with that base. And if they say, well, we've been getting, usually there's some activity in the morning, come in the afternoon. Oh, okay. Usually there's some activity in the afternoon, come in the morning. Oh, okay. So we did those sort of things with the knowledge that they were there to protect us. Okay, they were there to protect us. So when I guess I wanted to say that I think that Joan would have said too, that her experience was different than our experience because, remember I said we had two kinds of men? They only had one kind of men, right? They had no center, so they would go out to the bases. They were in more, I'll say primitive, because it's out at the fire bases, or the bases out there, not like we were on major Air Force campuses. It's not a campus, sorry, work on campuses. So that's part of when I go back to that. Remember, all Donut Dollies' lives weren't the same. All military lives weren't the same. Everybody had a different life. Okay, now you're going to go forward, although we think it doesn't like us very much. These are just some, now I just want to say about this one, we were issued flak jackets and helmets and boots and fatigues, but we didn't use them very much, but they did some more out in the clubmobile units because there was more incoming. We all went through, you know what incoming is, right? We all had those kinds of days. Tell your story about what'd you do, go under the desk?
Yeah. At Quignon, I know that I was under a mattress in the middle of the night because you could hear the incoming on the roof. Nothing penetrated. I'm here today. Another time I was under a desk, a metal desk, when there was incoming, and but fortunately, no one was injured. Yeah.
And you often would see tracers when you're up in the helicopters. I mean, there was no front here, as you know. So, but what people often ask us, were you afraid? And I don't think we were. Well, I cannot say for everybody. I was not afraid because the men were there for us. They protected us. They were our friends. I mean, we went through some things and it was scary a little bit, but I don't think we were afraid because we felt that we were protected by our men, our guys.
You ready to move?
Yeah, you can move me. I think we're going to move again.
And then?
Move again. Oh, this is Joan. Isn't that cute? I love this picture. TWA, Teeny Weeny Airlines. Guys could make a joke out of everything. They were so fun, really, because they'd razz each other and they looked for the humor. And you can imagine, that's really important, right? When you're in a war zone, look for the humor because you're facing a lot of crap. Okay, I can use that word again? Right. Okay, okay, let's go forward.
Yeah, we'll just go right through the rest of this.
Oh yeah, just go. Another of you just see us out with in all different sorts of settings. Go ahead. Our guys. That's what I'd say. They were our guys. Our guys. They were young. They were wonderful. Not everybody loved us. Not everybody wanted to see us come. Sometimes somebody said, you know, it hurt when we saw you because you weren't my wife. Are you with me? So it's, you know what I mean? But most of the time they were really happy to see us because it was a break. They weren't doing a war. They were just talking to a girl from home. You know, it was wonderful. Okay. Okay, that's the feeding. Yep. You went. Another one, the sandbags.
Okay.
Forward. Okay, you remember how it wasn't necessarily very happy when our guys came back to the United States. They weren't treated very well, were they? And when we were there in 1970, these were guys who didn't want to be there, did not want to be the last guy to die in Vietnam. Okay? Morale was really going down those last years because troops were being withdrawn. It was not an easy time, and they saw what was happening back in the States when military being spit on, called baby killers. It was not a nice ending for these guys. But all of us lived out our 365 days. We then got on the Freedom Bird. Now for us as Donut Dollies, we were exhausted, okay, both physically and mentally. It was a tough year. We were on stage 24/7 practically, okay? But we wanted to leave, but we felt guilty for leaving the men and the women that were still there. It was hard for us. And when we went back, I'll speak for myself, people like, where you been, what you've done, you say a little bit, nobody wanted to talk to you about it. So for, 40 years or more, 50 years, I didn't talk about it. Just like all of you that were there. Many people didn't talk about it. Lots of people, we were exposed to Agent Orange, Vietnam veteran, Donut Dollies have died of it. PTSD, nurses and women. So we shared the good and the bad that came from that war, is what I want to tell you. So, just a second. To do this program, we're talking about ourselves, but we really have, I'm going to cry, but we're talking about the men. The men that didn't come back, the men that did come back. And so I think it's important that we take a moment to honor those. So first of all, most of you have probably been to the wall and how it strikes you. What I love about it, what I think is important about it is it shows the magnitude of the loss, right? The magnitude of the loss. And then the next one is the three soldiers, which could either be those that came home, could represent that, or it can represent the faces of the names on the wall, right? There can be a couple of days. And then, this is a new one. Do you know about this one? I did not. This is, I'll read it. In memory of the men and women who served in the Vietnam War and later died as a result of their service, we honor and remember their sacrifice. Now, isn't that great that they did that? It's a plaque there that went up in 2004, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't even know it was there. I didn't know it was there. And then the last one is us. The Vietnam Women's Memorial in 1993. Now, this was 10 years, a lot of our colleagues, especially nurses, were trying to get this monument up. And it was finally up in 93. And many people went, and I have very few regrets in life because regrets get you nowhere. But I regret that I wasn't there during this march that Mary Ellen's going to talk about. Tell us about what that felt like.
Yes, Joan and her husband Bill, Jack and I did go to the march, and that was kind of a welcome home and thank you from many people along the march parade as we moved through there, and it was a bit of closure for all of this. And Joan concurs that she said for her, being there as well was closure. So it was, we certainly were glad that we got there.
Yeah, that's what I regret, because it was, again, you went away and then this would have been a time to hug a few people. Okay. This one I'm going to have a hard time with. Okay, stay with me on this one because I'm going to cry. Okay. This is what I want you to know about us. We loved our guys then and wanted them to live, so we comforted them. We continue to love and remember those who did not return, as well as those who came home. Sorry. This is still true. We still see their faces as the young men they were. Every time I start talking about it, I see them. I see them. We still hear the laughter and feel the warmth of our Donut Dolly friends, which is absolutely true. This is a bond that you have, right? You share such an experience that you have a bond. It was our honor and privilege to serve with these brave, wonderful men and women. So, yeah, I hope that you got that. I'm sorry that I'm getting emotional, but it takes you back. And what I want you to know is as Donut Dollies, it was our privilege to be there with the men. And it was an important part of our life of service, and as growing ourselves, understanding more about ourselves and understanding more about others. So that was very important. And we are still friends today. Can you see us? And Jack is Mary Ellen's, she got him in Vietnam. I think she can return. Can you return him to Vietnam? Can you return him to Vietnam? Okay, so he's an honorary Donut Dolly. But that's Joan, who's not here, Mary Ellen, Jack, and myself. And so we, 60 years later, are still friends. Okay? So at this point, do we have any questions?
Where did y'all eat? Did you eat enough of the
That's a good question. We were trying to remember. It's so funny, between the three of us, Joan, who loves to eat, remembers everywhere she ate. We couldn't remember. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, there are times like at Cameron, we were so far out from the mess hall that we tried to gather at least coffee or something in the trailers. Then we walked in a mile or so, and there was a mess hall. We ate with the men there. That was one particular thing. And then Joan...
Well, Joan said, I mean, we had officer status, which didn't really mean much, except you could get some privileges that you couldn't. And so I think it was where the general was.
Oh, the general was at
Chu Lai. She tried to go into the mess hall, and they said, you can't, you're an officer. So we ate, and sometimes we ate with the officer, sometimes, but we don't really remember eating very much. We don't. I mean, that's when she said, where do we eat? I was like, I can't even see myself eating. I can see myself eating on when we were there on the fire bases, because the men, when we were there and the men were eating, we would be eating with them, but I cannot remember. What?
That's a good thing. All the units had C rations, and when you flew to a fire base, they were offering you some of their food from the C rations.
Exactly.
Because fire bases didn't have a mess hall; they were passing out. So you had, they were glad to give you something.
So that's probably what did you hear that we were eating C rations on the bases?
Tell them about the steaks that would arrive occasionally.
No, I think not. No, what I was going to say was, I remember in Cameron that we usually, once we got into the center area, we would go through with our tray, our little plastic brown tray, and they would put the food on it. And then we had to go out back in the very hot weather and scrape them with brushes and clean them into the buckets. So that was something you don't forget.
Well,
Yeah.
but I do remember this is it, where we had a lot of barbecues. A unit, especially in the center, they'd say, so we would come back from, we've been out all day doing all this, and hey, can you come to the barbecue tonight? Because they wanted a woman there. So they would have some, whatever they had. So we would do a lot, we'd go to lots of different units who had little get-togethers for themselves. So that, we ate there too. But eating wasn't a big, you know, it really wasn't a big deal. I cannot, that's why I'm so little. Okay. Nobody got that. Let's see. How about you, sir?
My question was, did either one of you ever directly under fire at any time?
Directly under fire. I think just what we talked about.
No, not, no, I think that, not really. We had incoming, sometimes in the middle of the night.
Mortars.
Yeah, the incoming would bounce off the roof. You could hear it coming in, hitting the roof. And as I said, as soon as we knew that that was happening, it was under the mattress. Just pull the mattress off the bed and or under a metal desk. But that tended to happen in Cameron. Either they were living in the middle of that mountain and would come out at night. Sometimes it would hit the mess hall. I mean, you know, so we were fortunate in that way, but not that much.
But out at the fire bases, yes, and just one time for me, because again, I wasn't out there all the time. There were not zappers. No, what is it? Sniper. No, on the ground. But anyway, so people were coming in so they were coming in. So there was some of that, but some of the women that served came under direct fire. There's no doubt about that. But we didn't happen to be those Donut Dollies. They couldn't.
Remember that it was never quiet in Vietnam.
That was a good.
Never quiet. You could tell whether the incoming was rounds were going out.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
coming in, helicopters ground. It was never quiet.
I don't know if you heard what he said, but it was never quiet because something was coming, artillery was coming in, or something was going out, and that's true out on the fire bases. That is true. That's true. Yes.
Your knowledge, did any of the girls that you were associated with ever run into a brother or a cousin?
I had a cousin who came to visit me. He was in the Army and came, so that was really, and he came home. Okay, he came home. So, but it was really exciting, I guess, to see somebody, and I think that happened to people, and sometimes people did it because they knew their brother was stationed there. You know, there are a lot of the women that had military backgrounds, and so some of their fathers or brothers were there, but I saw my cousin. Okay, now I might as well, because I'm already crying. Okay, so I'll go ahead and tell you another terrible story, because it just makes me think of this. Hospitals were very hard to visit. Orphanages were second hardest to visit. There were a lot of orphanages. But I didn't go to a lot of hospitals, but when I would go, I'd talk to people, and then they knew I was from Iowa. So one time when I was in Cameron, the woman said, "Oh, you're from Iowa. We have somebody from Iowa here. He's not in very good shape. Do you want to see him?" And I said, "Okay." Now, I'm not sure I'm going to get through this. Tom, he was from Adel, which was not very far from where I grew up. But he was not in good shape. He had lost both the legs, had a head injury. So when I started talking to him, back time of this year, there's probably going to be a lot of crops in, or whatever I was talking to him about, he thought I was his mother. So I was, right? So I just talked generally as if I were his mother. And that was really a tough thing to do. But we had to be there for the men no matter what. And I was happy that he thought at the end his mother was there. But that didn't happen to me that many times, obviously, but and I normally wouldn't have gone, they wouldn't have had me go back to somebody that's that bad a shape, but they knew I was from Iowa, and they thought maybe I would want to do that. So I'm sure he didn't ask me that question. Why did I say that question?
I will, to your question as well, in my first unit in Cameron, we had a young lady whose mother was also serving in Vietnam.
Oh.
And I don't know how often she was in my unit, pictures down there, and I don't know how often they were able to get together or communicate, but that was unusual as well. Any other questions?
Barbara had one.
Oh, sorry.
I had a couple cousins that went to Vietnam, but one of my cousins in particular was married and they couldn't have children. He went to Vietnam twice, and every time he went to Vietnam, he brought back a baby girl orphan, a Vietnamese orphan.
Yeah.
And I'm still close to one of his daughters that he brought home. The other one has kind of disappeared from us, and we're not in contact with her, with the family, but one of them. And she is 100% Vietnamese, you know, so I don't know about the other one, but he brought home a baby every time he came home.
Well, there were a lot of babies, a lot of orphanages, a lot of babies, and the Eurasian babies were not well treated. They were not well treated at all.
Any other questions for Amelia?
I'm going to put the museum up, talk about the museum.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay, question in the back. Go ahead, Sandy.
Oh. Yes, sir?
On behalf of those of us who were there,
Oh, don't do this.
so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It means a lot to us. That's why I love seeing some of you here today that were there and shared some of this with us, because it is an experience that people don't understand in many ways unless you've been there, and so we appreciate that. Now,
one more slide. One more slide that we want to bring up here. Is it going to come? No. There it
is. We end as we started, right? No, you talk about it.
Well, there's a women's. We had a picture of the women's museum out at Fort Lee, or I guess it's Fort Lee. Yes. Hold the mic up. Okay. The women's museum there is spectacular out at Fort Lee, and it's open to the public, and we encourage you to visit there if you can.
Oh, that's
So,
okay.
Anyway, we did let them know this program was occurring. I think Judy sent the program. I have contacted them as well. Okay. Are you from the? We have people from the Women's Museum back there.
You
want them to come up?
It's the Women's Army Museum, correct? Yeah. So that's what you need to know. But it's a wonderful museum, and you know, we'd love to be part of it. Let's get all a big round of applause. Yeah, get us in there. But anyway,
Thank you for coming.
Yes, well, I'm glad you came, because all the women, just remember, there were always men and women in all of these places, and to honor all of them. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.